Okay, first question. Shh. Okay, first question. What's the next term? And write a conjecture. Okay, so how do I get from term to term? This was section 1 of chapter 2. What is the next term? And write a conjecture or a statement about it. Okay, the next term, the next term is 1/16. Josh, what's the conjecture?
I put doubling the denominator or doubling the whole fraction.
Okay, you can't put doubling the whole fraction because 1/2 doubled is 1. I like doubling the denominator better. That would be an acceptable answer. Okay, what would be another way? There's more than one way.
Each fraction is half of the last one.
Okay, each fraction is half. All right, so it's going the other way. Instead of doubling, it's going in half. What's another way?
Divide by 2.
You-
Divide each fraction.
Okay, which is the same thing as a half, but that's another way of saying it. All three of those would be right. Okay, so something to the effect of taking half of the fraction, doubling the denominator, dividing it by 2. Max, you got another one?
Did you put 1/16 up there like after? Is that still part of the question?
No, 1/16 is the answer. That would be the next term.
But if you didn't know that, couldn't it still be, couldn't it be
Okay, truth statements. All right, if P is true and Q is true, what is the value of not P or Q? So if we're going to find the value of this statement, what value do we have to find first? We need to know what not P is. So if P is true, not P is false. Okay? And if Q is true, then obviously Q is true. Now, it's an or statement. So if I have a false or a true, what is the truth statement of my entire thing? True. Okay? If it's an or statement, if one of them is true, it's always true. Remember, if it's an and statement, if one of them is false, it's always false. Okay, so remember the difference between and or. Okay, your conditional statement is if it is 28 degrees Fahrenheit, then it is below freezing. My question to you is, what is the converse of this statement? And what's another one I can put in there? And what is the contrapositive? Well, you might want to go back and look in your notes because there's a table. Okay. Okay, so our statement is if P, then Q. That's the very first statement. All right, so the converse is going to do what to it? What's the converse going to do? Converse is just going to flip it. So it's going to say if it is below freezing, then it is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so converse, you would just take the statement and flip it. Okay, second part of the statement first, first part of the statement last. And then contrapositive is going to do what to your converse? Huh? It's going to flip my converse? Oh, yeah, it's going to flip my original statement and negate it. So since this is already flipped, I'm just going to negate the converse. Okay, so if it is not below freezing, then it is not 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow on the test, you do need to write everything out. Okay? Write all of you people who are trying to cut corners. Not that I would call anybody out, but if anybody was trying to cut corners, that should just cover it. Get the whole problem. There we go. The whole problem fit on one screen. Do it.
On the conference, you put an N on then. You put
Then. Thank you. Then it's
Thank you.
the it's. Well, you know.
It sounds weird.
Okay.
Sounds weird.
Okay. What's the one that we didn't use? Inverse. What would the inverse be? Now, hang on, Maddie. What would the inverse be?
It is not 28 degrees Fahrenheit, then it is not below 3
Okay. Inverse would just be taking this and negating it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. If two animals swim, then they are fish. Dory and Nemo swim. So use the law of detachment to make another statement. Okay, use the law of detachment to make another statement. Here we go. If you have two animals that swim and they're fish, and Dory and Nemo swim, then Evan, what is the next statement using the law of detachment? No.
Dory and Nemo are fish.
Dory and Nemo are fish. Don't restate that they swim again. Okay, law of detachment says I take something from this, combine it with this, so Dory and Nemo are fish. That would be the correct statement. Dory and Nemo are fish. Okay. All right, law of detachment. Statement 1. Flowers are pretty. Shh. Okay, so I'm going to say statement 2 is going to be a fern is a flower. Okay? Fern is a plant, flower. I don't know. I'm not a not a horticulturist. A fern is not a tree. It's you have a either way. If there are if there are any horticulturists or florists listening to this video, I apologize. I'm just a math teacher, so it's all right. Shh, stop. We're done. A flower is pretty. A fern is a flower. So using the law of syllogism, GISM. If there's any English teacher, is it A? Is it A or O? For all of the English teachers out there, I got nothing. Yeah, it's O. Okay, it just didn't look right for some reason. That's okay. But my math knowledge trumps everything. So flowers are pretty. A fern is a flower. By law of syllogism, Quinn, what do we got? A fern is pretty. Well, true. I don't like ferns, but that's all right.
I've never seen one.
Yeah, you have.
Really?
You've seen one. You just. Mr. Stiers has ferns in his classroom. It's like a green, leafy, like kind of a shrubbery. Yeah. Okay, so we just modified the statement because it was wrong, and that's okay because we make mistakes. All right. If flowers are pretty, then they are green. If a flower is green, then it's a fern. Brock. So what is my law of syllogism statement?
A fern is a flower.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Josh? A fern is pretty. Okay. A fern is so pretty. Just a pretty little fern. Okay. There we go. Huh? Okay, question number 6. Solving for x. You've got one angle that's 2x plus 20. You've got another angle on the other side that's 4x plus 60. What's the relationship of these two angles? They're vertical, which makes them congruent. So set them equal to each other and solve for x. Okay, so we modified the second angle to 4x plus 10. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. That's going to give us 2x plus 10 equals 20. Then I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So that's going to give me 2x equals 10, x equals 5. Now, be very careful here. If they ask you to solve for x, you're done. If they ask you to tell what the angles are, then you have to substitute it back in. So what are the actual angles? If I substitute 5 back in, what are the angles? Okay? Well, they should be the same, right? They should both be 30. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 20 is 30. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 10 is 30. Okay, so the angles are 30. It's good writing. X is 5, angles are 30. Make sure you know what they're asking for. Okay, so there's only one value that makes this not true. What is it? X equals negative 11. Okay? If I had x equals negative 11, then negative 11 squared would equal 121. So that is my counter example. X equals negative 11. Awesome. Okay, number 8. Shh. If today is Black Monday, then tomorrow is Purple Tuesday. I want you to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. Again, if today is Black Monday, then tomorrow is Purple Tuesday. What is the hypothesis and what is the conclusion? Okay, hypothesis. Shh. Hypothesis is always which part of your statement? Not the first. It's the if statement. Okay, if is the hypothesis. All right. So if today is Black Monday, hypothesis. Today, I'll even write this out because I'm asking you to. Either way is fine. Okay, the hypothesis is if today is Black Monday, shh, and then the conclusion is then tomorrow is, yes, Purple Tuesday. If points A, B, and C lie in plane X, then they are collinear. Sometimes, always, or never, and explain. Okay, if points A, B, and C lie on a plane X, then they are collinear. How many of you think that is always? Raise your hand. Okay, how about sometimes? Okay, how about never? Okay, it's sometimes. All right. Okay, shh. Now, here's the key. All right, yeah, here's the key. It's a drawing. If I've got any type of plane, okay, is it possible that I could have 3 points on it Okay? Is that possible? Yes. Okay? The thing that makes it sometimes is because they won't always be collinear. You could have A, B, and C on that plane, but they don't have to be in a line. But they could sometimes. All right? Do what? No, just one. Just one that'll make it sometimes.
Law of syllogism
And they may, huh?
or law of detachment. I'm trying to remember which one. Syllogism.
Okay.
Doesn't always necessarily say truth though, because potatoes have skin.
That's the one where if both were false, it could be true. But you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about it.
If potatoes have skin, I have skin. Therefore, I am a potato.
Okay, for number 10 and 11, state the property. Okay, state the property that says gx plus ab is congruent to ab plus gx. And also state the property that says angle 1 is congruent to angle 1. Okay, John, gx plus ab is congruent to ab plus gx. What do we got? Which property? Which property? Okay, Ireland? Symmetric. Okay. Symmetric is the exact same thing. It's like a mirror. It just changes the order. Okay. Symmetric only works. Symmetric only works when you're adding and multiplying. There's no such thing as symmetry when you're subtracting or dividing. It doesn't exist. Okay. Number 11. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 1. Anthony. Reflexive. Okay. Something equals itself. Reflexive all the time. Okay. On page 138, number 17. Go ahead and write it down. Write your columns, statements, and reasons. Okay. I'm going to tell you that statement D is negative 3x equals 120. Not a big deal. Most of you would have figured that out. This will be similar to the one tomorrow. They're going to give you all of the statements. All you'll have to do is fill in a reason. So again, statement D is negative 3x equals 120. So what I want you to do is fill in reasons B, C, and E. That will prepare you for everything you will see tomorrow on a proof, I promise. Okay, so again, statement D is negative 3x equals 120. I want you to fill in the 3 missing reasons. Okay, so let's look at from step A to B. Okay, from step A to B, what did they do? They multiplied both sides by 4. So step B is going to be multiplication. Piece of cake. All right. Now, going from step B to step C. All of those parentheses and all of that stuff is gone. So what did they actually do? They substituted 8 minus 3x, because they've already done the multiplication. They substituted. Obviously, from 8 minus 3x equals 28 to negative 3x equals 120, they subtracted that 8 from both sides. And then how do we get from negative 3x equals 120 to x equals negative 40? Division. Plain and simple. It will not be any more difficult than that. Okay? They will give you the steps. You just have to justify the reason.